All right. Thank you for having us. My name is Ryan Ellickman. I'm a sophomore finance major at Notre Dame,
And I'm Samuel Newble. Also a sophomore finance major at Notre Dame.
and we're happy to present to you Office Properties Income Trust.
So starting out with the company snapshot. So Office Properties Income Trust is a US-based real estate investment trust that primarily focuses on office properties. So they own currently around 128 properties in 30 states and Washington, D.C., and they lease their properties to a mix of entities, including government organizations and large corporate entities. But the challenges that they've been having is that they've faced a low occupancy and they faced a lot of pressure due to like not being able to renew a lot of their leases, which is on top of a highly levered capital structure has led to their distress scenario. So to go over the situation overview, what's happening with OPI is several issues. So like I mentioned, they're facing low occupancy, and when they try to reinstate tenants into these buildings, there's a lot of upfront costs that hurt their cash flows. And then onto their capital structure side of things, they're highly levered. They have $2.4 billion of debt and next to no equity, especially now that they've filed for Chapter 11. So this highly levered situation has placed OPI in a very tight spot to where essentially their options are they need a restructure or else they will not be able to continue operating. So as a brief overview of their capital structure, they have a variety of debt instruments. So they have a large variety of secured notes because since they're a real estate investment trust, they have a lot of asset-backed loans, which includes a handful of mortgage loans, handful of senior notes, senior secured notes, and all these different debt instruments has created an increasingly complex situation for OPI because they're not only having to deal with being highly levered, but it's a very strong mix of different creditors and different interest payments, maturities, and principal that they have to handle with servicing and refinancing when it comes to it. And so for their business plan on how we think that OPI should go ahead forward is first is on how they should allocate their real estate portfolio. They've already sold some of their non-core and like worst performing assets, and we believe that they should continue to do the same. So that includes you know, properties with low vacancy or with low amounts of tenants, high vacancy, and properties of that nature. But then also they should be leasing to high like credit tenants such as like governments and then strong government or strong corporate entities. And also when it comes to costs, try to improve their operations and make them more efficient.
So as you can see, we valued OPI through liquidation valuation, comps, DCF, and precedents. So we've arrived to an implied enterprise value of about $3.2 billion. Um, and this is more, um, yeah. And next, so here's our comparable company analysis. So we arrived a multiple of 9.6x for the 25th percentile and 16.4 for the 75th percentile. Implying this yields a 250 million point nine yields and TEV of a range of 2.4 billion to 4 billion. And now here we have our precedent transactions analysis. All of these are transactions involving REITs. So it has a range of REITs from retail to office to residential. And this arrives at a TEV of 3.9 to 4.4 billion. And here's our output for our base case of our DCF. Um, this arrives at a EV to EBITDA of about 14.2x through a 2% terminal growth rate. Um, and this is sufficient to fully cover the company's debt load of 1.88 billion.
So then onto the liquidation valuation, considering that one of the key things to look out for when doing a restructuring, particularly if it's going to enter Chapter 11, is to make sure that what the company would be worth after a restructuring is higher than their liquidation value. So the way we did this was just looked at how like specifically real estate assets are sold under distressed, and then placed an extra discount on them for them being sold in a liquidation type scenario. And then also looked at different things like JV investment, which is like joint ventures they have, and like other sort of one-off things that would be sold. And we found that the estimates in liquidation would range from around 1 billion to about 1.78 billion. Then in their waterfall analysis, we discounted the multiples used a bit more than the comparable companies just because we assumed that they'd be a bit distressed, and some distressed comparable REITs and also distressed asset sales from real estate companies were around the range of 5 to 8. And what we found is that there would be a full recovery for the vast majority of secured creditors, and then no recovery for unsecured claims and for equity holders. So our preliminary recommendation is that OPI should do a debt exchange where there's two main ports where they would consolidate all their debt into like one main facility, which would reduce the operational complexities of having so many different debt instruments that we mentioned before. And then also we would exchange the unsecured debt for equity so that they would have some sort of recovery. So what this would allow them to do is to better execute on their business plan so that OPI could come out of bankruptcy a stronger, healthier company.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time and consideration.